One of the most iconic things about anything Dwarven is having fancy pillars, and I wanted to create these in as simple a way as possible, but still making them impressive. So um, you're going to need a whole bunch of pieces, which you basically just put all together. I mean, make it sound really simple, but you need 20 mil foam, and then you're going to need to cut 40 mil widths, and then you're going to need to make it 5 mil smaller with each different cut that you make, and you'll see why as we go through the construction of it. You can start with foam, which is a lot slimmer. If you can get like 2 or 3 mil foam, that would be really helpful. But if you've got a hot wire cutter, then you can just use that. But to begin, we're going to be going with the heights of the pillars. So there's two ways of doing this. You can either cut the heights and have two pieces side by side, or you could cut the kind of cross section, kind of be 40 mil square, and have a stack of them brought up to the right height. I decided I'd rather have the heights and have bits side by side. So that's how I decided to do it. Now, once you've got one of these, this is a 40 mil bit of foam here. So I put a mark halfway across it, then the same distance down. So 2 centimeters from the center and 2 centimeters down, and then cutting between that. And this is just to create a point in the middle of it. And you're going to do that across lots and lots of the 40 mil ones. So you can use the first one you do as a template for the other one. It depends what level of accuracy you want to work from. Obviously, using a template is going to be slightly less accurate, but you're going to do that with all of the different sizes, and you can see the schematics too. You can see a bit more what I'm on about. But you're going to have 40 mil ones, you're going to have 37.5 mil ones, you have 35 mil ones, and once you've done all of those and you cut them into a point, then you're going to cut them down into slivers like I'm showing you here, and you're going to be doing this with every single one. There are so many pieces for this. I think. So you're going to need 160 pieces, I think I worked out it is in total. So yeah, that's a whole lot of pieces to be cutting. So now moving on to the center pillars and the corner pillars. So in this video, I'm showing you the construction of all the little pieces and then chucking it all together. So right now I'm cutting the top and bottom parts of pillars. So these some are 40 by 40 and some are 40 by 50. So the 40 by 40 ones form the bottom of the pillars, and the 40 by 50 ones form the top of the center pillars. And with the 40 by 50 ones, I just cut a 45-degree angle off one of the short ends, so it has a nice kind of slant for the top of the pillar. I thought it was a nice way of just making it look a little bit more fancy, shall we say. So that is all of the pieces getting cut for all of the pillars, and then we need to glue them together one way or another. So like I said, I'm doing mine side by side. You could do yours as a stack. So yeah, roughing up the sides to improve the adhesion between them, and yeah, just leaving them to dry. So that's one of the 40 by 40 cross section for the top of the pillars. This one is a 30 by 30 for the corner ones. And there's just ones which are 20 by 30 for the central pillars. Now the stacks here, you can see that I'm making, you're going to need to make 32 of these. So 32 big pieces, and then stacking up the sizes, putting some glue between them. And I'd say glue them first and then concentrate on the alignment, rather than trying to make each one perfect as you're putting it down. Now, I strongly recommend you leave them to set overnight, because you want them to be absolutely solid before you glue them onto anything. So once they're ready, you can sand the side of your pillar cores here, slap some glue on the side, on each side in fact, and then add one of the stacks to each side. Now, it's important to note here that the accuracy of your points and stuff does not have to be perfect. They're definitely not perfect on mine. But once you've done the other few stages with them, they look so good that no one, not even yourself, not even me, who I'm hypercritical of my own work, not even me is looking at my pillars and going, well, that point isn't perfect with the other one. It just isn't how you end up looking at it. So there's 8 of these pillar tops that you're going to need to make, and once they were in place, I just chucked them on the radiator to improve the drying time. So that's what those ended up looking like. Now with the these are the central pillars here, so you've got your 20 by 30 thing here, and then you've got little slivers here which are 2.5 mil bigger with each one, and again you're just going to be stacking them up on the side. So you're adding 3 of these in increasing sizes to each side of the pillar, so that you end up with this stepped look through to like the central core of it. So just stack them up first, and you can see, and then align them as I'm showing you right here. So doing that on that side is pushing them down so that they are in alignment with the bottom. A little tap tap there apparently as well. And then doing the same thing on the other side, so smallest to biggest, so you have this stepped front look. And once you can use a straight edge like a ruler here, as I'm just showing you here, to get there. And then this is a reminder to myself to tell you to put weight on them, and then that's me pointing them to say do the other pillars. Now with the corner pillars, you have a 30 by 30 core to it, and then you are creating this stack here. The only part of the pillar that actually gets seen here is the stepped bit in the middle. So that's what you're working towards. You're working so the biggest up to the smallest on this one, rather than the smaller up to the biggest, which you're seeing on the other ones. And yeah, essentially all you're doing is creating this kind of this stepped look at the corner. So glue on first, and then put them all on first, and then do the alignment, and ends up looking like that. But like I said, you only see the stepped bit. Now once the core centers are dry, you can do the top and bottoms of them. This is only on the center and the corner ones. So I'm kind of scratching up the bottom there, so just to improve the adhesion, and then just gluing a 40 by 40 thing to the bottom, and then a 40 by 50 with the slant onto the top. And then applying some weight on it. So what I did with my ones, once I'd done all the pillars, I put a bit of wood on top, and then put some weight on top of that wood, just to really make sure that you're getting some good adhesion with them. Now with the corner pillars, it's a 40 by 40 on the top and the bottom. So that's what you want to be doing with those ones. So yeah, get all 8 pillars like for the bottom, and then put the weight on them as I'm showing you here. It's that simple, and just leave them to dry. I think I put an upside down stool on top of it. And then to add detail to the corner pillars and to the central pillars, I'm using this pencil with a bit of tin foil on the end, just to get into the details and to crush down the corners a little bit. I mean, if you want to be having gentle pressure, so that you're beginning to just make it look a little bit kind of rugged and stony. You don't need to be fully crushing it and destroying it. Now I decided to do a zigzag pattern on the top part and on the bottom part, rather than more runes, as you will have seen on the walls. So all I'm doing is just drawing putting a mark. I mean, I was more neat and accurate than I probably needed to be with this, because I was there measuring out lines and things. But ultimately, you can just put some zigzag lines on it and then widen it with a pencil, and it ends up looking pretty decent. I went to the effort of actually measuring it on this one. I think I was trying to show off and show that I'm work harder on things than I actually do. Normally with stuff like this, I'm just going to eyeball it, but very simply I measured in a centimetre, every centimetre interval, and then did diagonal lines to meet up with a similar but stepped centimetre line at the bottom. Was it worth the effort? Probably not. It's probably easier just to do it by eye. But yes, widening it with a pencil, and then the next stage after that is to then grab your rune sheet, or maybe you just want to do it completely without that, and you just want to do some chunkier runes on the front of the... Well, you don't have to do it, but I think it looks really nice to have these bigger runes carved into the pillars. I don't care what it says. I haven't looked up what these letters mean. It is purely for aesthetic value. So doing that with a knife and then widening it with a pencil, and I think the end result is one which is pretty decent. So that is how you are going to be doing that, and it ends up looking something like that, with a flappy tail coming in there last minute for some reason. But yes, we're going to be doing that across the all of the other central pillars. So putting in the zigzags, putting them in the runes, and that is them finished, and they end up looking really good, I think. Now the corner pillars don't need as much attention. All we're doing this is just getting the tin foil pencil end and just adding a bit more detail to the stepped thing, and then putting the zigzags on there, and then you can do a bit of stone rolling on the top. When you decide which part is the top of the pillar, and that can be crushed using the tin foil just a little bit, just to add that texture in. But yeah, nothing too complicated with those. I mean, you could arguably not do any of it, but I feel like it's worth the couple of minutes effort that it takes to do that. Now, to finish off the pillar tops, we're going to be doing brickwork on them. So I mean, arguably this should have been done before they were all glued together, but that's not how I did it, because I thought of it afterwards. Because I'm making the mistakes for you, as I've said a couple of times already. So just putting in brickwork, just with just some measuring sort of 10mm high bricks, which are kind of 40mm across, and then putting in the runes, putting in a big rune on the main part at the front, and then doing a tinfoil roll across the whole thing. Now, to paint them, we're going to take our black PVA, black paint and PVA mix, 50-50, and we're going to do a coat of that on everywhere that you're going to see. So you don't have to do it everywhere on the corner and central ones, but the pillar tops will have to be painted all over. Now, once you've done that, you can take the sponge, take some grey paint, and you can mix that together and do this kind of sponging thing as you would have seen on the walls and other parts as well, and it really just brings them to life so much and so quickly. And if you want any areas to look a bit more worn, then make the grey a little bit lighter by adding some white in. But yeah, it's all pretty simple to do. And this is the end result with all of it. So once you've done the grey on each and every one of them, the end result is you get pillars looking like this. And I honestly think they're fantastic. I mean, it requires a little bit of accuracy, but you can get away with being not so accurate, and but the effort is worth the result.